Hello. I kind of just felt the need to document this because I guess I want to be able to go back and I guess see how far I've come. I look a mess. Okay? I look a mess. But I am currently signing the final paperwork for my divorce. And I will be turning it in tomorrow morning. It is currently 9:16 at night, and it is November 26, 2024. Looking at this paperwork brings a whirlwind of emotions, mostly because it's finally happening. Nothing that I was shying away from. Let me make that very clear, because I was never shying away from it. I just think that seeing all this paperwork and having to sign everything, there's literally for me and for him. So it is another one. His parts for me and then for him. This is hard. The person that I literally was doing everyday life with, I am no longer doing everyday life with. And it is what it is. What I don't understand about the court system is why the hell they want so many damn copies of the same damn form when you only need really just the original. Why do you need all these damn copies? I literally have the original, and then they want me to make 3 copies. This stack of paper, this is 16 pieces of fucking paper. Let me talk my shit for a second. This is 16 pieces of paper, and y'all wanted me to make copies 3 times just for y'all. Only review the master. I don't know. And then, I'm gonna be with y'all. They want me to provide my own damn stamps. Because they don't want to have to, my own stamps and envelope, because they don't want to have to pay for it. I said, well, I'll be damned. But yeah, this is the final paperwork for a divorce. I was going to say bittersweet, but it's not even bittersweet. It's just unfortunate that it had to come to this. But it is what it is, So, whatever. But, that's it, that's all. And, yeah. Hey, Journey Believers. You already know who it is. It's your host with the most, Simone Renee, and welcome back to another episode of Her Journey Within Podcast, where healing looks damn good on you, babe. And that's on period.
I finally arrived. It was so far from luck. Greatness is up to me, and I'm making that choice. I've been taking my time, and I ain't in a rush. I don't wanna miss anything. It'll cost me too much. I'm still coming into my own.
Believers, I think this has been probably the most amazing season, and it just started. Okay, I have been extremely blessed with amazing people. You know how they say it takes a village to raise a child. It does. But I also feel like it takes a village to raise successful women and men. And I feel like you guys are motivating me and teaching me to just continue my process of healing and to allow me to understand that being vulnerable is not a weakness. And I am truly, truly, truly grateful. I'm just really blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have you all. And I just don't really know like where I would be without the amazing support that you guys have given me. Like, it's just overwhelmingly amazing. So thank you. Y'all already know, every episode we like to get deep. We like to discuss some things. We like to talk it out, all that. So the question here says, what do you feel the most guilty about? Jesus. What do you feel the most guilty about? I would say I feel the most guilty about not spending time with my loved ones, specifically my great-grandmother, before she passed. I always allowed work to get in the way. And don't get me wrong, like I knew like I had to go to work because nobody was taking care of me. Like, I was taking care of myself. So I knew that I had to go to work to survive, and I knew that I was growing and living my life, and you know, I was in a relationship and living on my own and trying to navigate living because I was doing it by myself. And so now that she's gone, and I kind of go back and remember, like, as a kid being at her house all the time with my mom, I just wish that I would have taken that extra step to like drive out there on my days off, to like spend time with her, or maybe just go sit with her, different things like that. Even if she wasn't doing anything, or just even called her more. I would FaceTime her here and there because, you know, she had an iPhone that I would help her with, but I just felt like I could have done more. And I think that's what I feel the most guilty about, is not doing more and just staying away. Because I feel like, if I'm honest, I don't really feel like the people in my family really took the time to understand me, specifically my mom's side of the family. I don't really blame too much on my dad's side, just because I moved away. So whatever relationship that I once had with them, we were kids, and now we're all grown, and some of them now have kids. So our relationship now that we're adults has to be built organically and naturally, you know what I'm saying? So I'm more so gearing this statement towards the men and women in my mom's side of the family. I just don't feel like they really understood me, and I don't really feel like they even really took the time to get to know me and figure out, like, okay, who is this woman? Who is she going to be? I grew up thinking that I had to be a certain type of way for their approval. I felt like, okay, yeah, if I went to school, that meant that I was doing something with myself. Or if I dressed a certain type of way, that meant that I was like a classy woman. Or if I spoke a certain type of way, that meant that I was intelligent. Not realizing that I was classy and intelligent already, just being who I am and just being myself. It was me not realizing that I was dimming my own light to be around a bunch of dull and dim lighted individuals. That's where a lot of my insecurities stemmed from as a child, because I didn't feel like anybody really took the time to say, like, okay, who is Simone? What is Simone like? Like, they would have conversations with me, but it only really came about when it came to boys. And it was like, my life is bigger than just me liking a boy, or, you know, my life is bigger than me just gaining a man, or a boy at the time, a boy's attention. Let me be very clear. I've always had some guy's attention, for sure. That's never not happened. I think it was just me not knowing how to maneuver through a boy's attention at a young age. And I think that's where my dad should have come into play. And I feel like that's where my mom definitely should have come into play versus trying to shield me away from boys. I think we should have sat down and had a conversation about how I felt when a boy said certain things to me. Story time, 5th grade. I used to talk to this guy. He was super cool. Talk about smart. He was so smart. Okay. I remember we used to get like awards together at this, like, the school little award ceremonies. We were always getting awards together. The teacher would always pair us up together just because he knew like we were going to get our work done. He was just really chill. Like, he was such a chill guy. And I remember he asked me to be his Valentine. I said yes because we liked each other for sure. And I was like, cool, yeah, whatever. So he comes to school Valentine's Day morning. And I'm thinking it was just going to be some simple, like, little cute card. We're in the fucking 5th grade, okay? Anyway, he comes to school with this big basket filled with lip glosses, a purse, candy, flowers, like I'm talking roses, a stuffed animal, balloons. Like, when I say little baby went all out for your girl, little baby went out for the guy, okay? Went all out. And I remember he had a card in there, and his mom had wrote my parents a letter just simply saying, like, we don't want you to feel alarmed, but my son really likes your daughter, and we like her too. She's such a great little girl. And my dumb ass ripped it up out of fear. I got so nervous. I got really scared because I was scared of what my dad and my mom were going to do. Like, what were they going to say, And so my mom, when she first saw the basket, she looked and she was like, oh, wow, like, who got you this? And I told her, and she was like, wow, that was really nice. And then my dad, he... he, like... I ain't gonna say he flipped out, but he definitely took it somewhere else. And I was so mad at myself for not giving them that letter, because I read it and it was on some respectful. They gave the phone number, like, call me if you have any questions. We would love to meet you. Like, it was me just being scared. I ripped it up. But that's me saying all this is just me simply saying, like, in navigating with boys, it should have never been a fearful thing when it came to talking about boys, or when it came to just knowing how to navigate through a boy's attention. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you if you're out there watching this, because I feel like bro literally, like, fell off the face of the earth. Like, we could not find him once he moved schools. Like, no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, no nothing. But then again, I don't know, he might have that, I don't know, but I know he was really chill. So shout out to you for sure. But yeah, I feel like my family just looked at me as this little girl that was boy crazy, even though I was never boy crazy. And I just felt like they wanted me to be perfect, which I will never be. And I've learned to accept that as I got older. But, like, yeah, as a kid, I just felt like I had to stay away. As I got older, I mean, not as a kid, but as I got older, I felt like I need to stay away from that side of the family, because it's like, oh, I'm grown now. Like, I got a mouth now. So, like, you're not going to just say anything to me and think that I'm just going to just sit there and be like, oh, yes, yes. Because no, baby, I got a mouth. Respectfully and disrespectfully, you decide. Like, that's just where I'm at, And when my great grandmother passed, I had so much guilt. Like, even watching her just in that hospital a week prior to us having to say our goodbyes, and just looking at her and, just sharing photos of, my wedding, and her asking, like, are you happy? And, is he treating you right? And this, that, and the third. I just feel like even in that moment, like, I just wanted to just take her pain away and just, like, just hug me one last time, So watching that, and then seeing her 2 days before my birthday pass away, and then watching her in that casket and then watching as they wheeled her to be placed at the mausoleum, it was so much guilt weighed on me. Like, I just felt really, really, really heavy. And I think that's why I try to visit her as much as I can, even now, you know, going to her grave and talking to her, or um, just crying out to her and just saying, like, I'm sorry, you know, just different things of that nature. Grief is a bitch, okay? Heartbreak is a bitch, but grief is something about that grief that just makes you just want to lose your mind, like, for real. I didn't realize, like, how much of a people pleaser that I was, and just saying yes to everything and not understanding, like, how draining it is sometimes to just say yes to everybody's needs and everybody's wants, and neglecting your own, and learning to forgive yourself for sometimes not being able to be everything to everybody can make you feel guilty if certain things do happen to that particular group of people or that one person or something of that sort. You have to learn to forgive yourself. You have to learn to give yourself grace, for sure. In this season of my life, I'm learning what God's grace really means. Remember, first episode, we talked about God's grace and Him giving us second chances. I have to also learn to give myself grace, because I'm very hard on myself. And I know a lot of times we too go through things and we're like, I should have known better. I could have done better. I would have never done this if this didn't occur. It's like a cause and effect type of situation, you know? And that's great. That's fine. Kudos to you, Bookie Butt. But you have to also give yourself grace. Take a step back and process and say, okay, yeah, I could have done things differently, but I'm here now. I know for next time. I think all of 2024 was about us learning lessons. I think God wanted all of us to sit down in some sort and wake up and learn something. I don't know what your lesson may be, but I know my lesson was to be open, be honest with myself, be open about what it is I need to be honest about, and be transparent enough to accept the things that I can no longer change. We talk about being hot, and one of my episodes with one of my really, really close friends, Keisha. You have to be hot, honest, open, and transparent. Humble enough to know that you're not better than anybody. Open enough to know you have room to grow, and transparent enough to say, yes, I can accept that I need to change. Make sure you check out that episode, because that was a really great episode. My healing has been very much delayed because I struggle with forgiving myself. Because I believe that I know better. That I know for a fact that had I not done X, Y, and Z, I would not be starting over at ABC. You get what I'm saying? But even in starting over and being at ABC, once again, that's God's grace, because He gives you an opportunity to start from scratch and to make it very, very clear where you went wrong. God is always going to show you everything that you need. And y'all know, like, I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual, and I definitely believe in God's word 110% with my whole body, like, whole soul. I believe in that man, and I believe in His word, and I know that His word is true. And I know for a fact that God is never going to give us more than we can bear. You know what I'm saying? And I know that God is never going to leave us to hang dry. Taking it even a step further and forgiving ourselves. God has already forgiven us. We beat ourselves up. We beat ourselves up like no other, trying to figure out what we did wrong. Where did we go wrong? And it's not about trying to figure out the where you went wrong. It's about understanding that yes, you went wrong, but now where are you going to go from here on out? What are you going to do now? A lot of times we're so caught up in the before that we miss out on the present, and we're so afraid of what the future is going to look like, we start fucking up our present, or we start trying to go back to the past. It's almost like when you're getting out of a relationship and you are so in that first stage of a breakup. You know, that first stage where you just can't let go of that person. You just want to hear their voice. You want to talk to them, and you just miss them so much. And it's like, wait, wrong. Da, 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 da. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. And you say you need closure, so you keep going back. Baby, you're never going to get closure by going back. You have to give yourself closure and say, you know what? I made mistakes. I know where I went wrong. Apologize if you need to. Reevaluate yourself and say, this is what I went wrong. This is what I did. This is what I should have done. And you move on from it. You move on from it. You have to move on from it. Let me tell y'all something. God literally dealt with me. So, divorce is one of those things that is very much, my mom described it as a death. Like you're mourning the death of something. And baby, I never mourned before. If I'm just going to be all the way honest, I'm not an emotional person. If I cry, I'm going to cry alone. If I feel heavy, I'm going to feel that alone. It's very rare that I even vocalize it. But she said the best way to describe a divorce and what that feels like in that process is like mourning a death. And when she first said it, I was just like, that makes no sense. Because, you know, I'm not mourning nothing. Like, I'm leaving. Like, he hurt me and he did this. And you think you finna play with me? Da-da-da-da-da. You know, I'm talking my shit. But then as time went on, I started to really sit and realize what the fuck was happening. Like, the reality of everything started coming in. Like, this wasn't just a normal argument. This wasn't just one of those, like, you stay on your side of the bed, I'm stay on my side, and they go sleep on the couch, or I'm finna leave, go to my homegirl house, or I'm finna turn up. It was nothing like that. This was really me, like, walking away, like, taking the ring off, leaving it on the counter, and going away. Divorce is really like mourning a death. Grieving. They say grief is the final act of love. Baby, I never grieved so hard in that season. 2024 was such a blur for me to the point where it was just like, I can't tell you what I've done because I was literally floating. I was floating from January 1st to December 31st. I was floating. Like, obviously, I kept myself busy, but I was floating. And I remember the last time that he and I saw each other, we had to go to sign the final paperwork to submit to the judge for our divorce to be finalized. And I remember prior to that, God had been weighing on me to be like, you owe him an apology. And I said, I don't owe that nigga nothing. I don't owe that man a damn thing. I don't owe him anything. I owe him nothing. I just kept saying it. Nope, 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 nope. And I wasn't going to reach out to him. I wasn't going to unblock him. I wasn't going to do any of that. I just knew that whenever the time permitted itself, I knew that it was I owed him an apology. No matter how much I fought it, no matter how much I tried to steer clear of it, I owed that man an apology. So we finally see each other. And I remember we're having a conversation, and even in the midst of having a conversation, I felt my pride rising up, saying like, walk away right now. Because mind you, I was not talking to him. Like, there was nothing for us to discuss. So why are we talking now, you know? And I just remember God's voice saying, if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to have to deal with me. And I was just like, okay. And I said, you know what? I owe you an apology. And he looked at me. He looked at me kind of like, who is this girl? Because I don't apologize. I won't. I could be dead ass wrong. Okay. And I won't apologize. My pride, I will let it win. Always. But in that moment, I felt like, no, I apologize. I apologize for not being vocal enough about what I needed from you. I apologize for not being appreciative of the little things and always magnifying the things that really didn't need to be magnified, that cause you to feel negatively about yourself, to doubt yourself, right? Mind you, I never wanted him to feel like he was perfect, but I definitely wanted him to know that there was room to grow. But even in that, I didn't realize that there was room for me to grow. And it wasn't me trying to make him feel bad for himself or about himself. It was me just trying to push him to just want more for himself. And I realized that wasn't my place. That wasn't for me to do. I can't force somebody to do things that they don't want to do, because you can't force me. And I think sometimes when we love a person so much and we're in a relationship and we want just the best for them, sometimes we overdo it. Sometimes we overplay our role. We don't realize how hard we're pushing them until they break. And I'm not saying that he broke. No, that nigga broke. I pushed him until he broke. Hence why we're here. And this is not me taking full blame of why we're not together. This is just me being holding myself accountable as to where I could have improved, if that makes sense. So even in the midst of apologizing, I definitely felt a weight lifted off of me, right? And me apologizing doesn't dismiss any actions. The reason I had to apologize was because I allowed resentment to dictate my moves, my actions. I allowed resentment to make me an angry person. And I'm not an angry person. I can get angry, but I would rather just laugh. And granted, me laughing, I laugh during arguments, so that's good. But I will laugh during an argument. And just to let you know, like, this is silly. Like, this is just dumb. Like, it makes no sense for us to be sitting over here arguing about this, or we could just have like a regular conversation about it, you know? And it caused me to react a certain type of way to where now I am magnifying every little thing. And I am over analyzing every little thing. And I am making things bigger than what they really are. And I'm missing out on the moment, the present moment of just loving you, or just being your friend, or just being your wife, or just being a support system, or just being just there to let you know that I'm here, because I have so much resentment because I don't know how to communicate. And it took me now to realize, like, you allowed your silence to make you angry. And you can't. Your silence is not meant to build anger. Your silence is meant for you to allow God to fight your battles. This is what I believe, okay? Because our verse, our motto, Exodus 14:14 says, "Let the Lord fight your battles and you shut your mouth." So my silence wasn't meant to stir anger. It was meant to just sit still and let God be God and let God fight for me. I say all that to say that sometimes you're going to have to apologize. Sometimes you're going to have to let go of that resentment. Sometimes you just going to have to hold yourself accountable, boo. Sometimes you're just going to have to really say, you know what? It wasn't just all so-and-so. I played a part. Your part may not be as magnified, or it may not be as grand, but you doing something as simply allowing the first offense is you playing a part. You not addressing it the first time is you playing a part. You continuously going down the same path, knowing that it's wrong, is you playing a part. Hold yourself accountable. And that's in all relationships, even especially in your healing journey. We have to hold ourselves accountable for where we are in life. I'm sorry, I cannot stand a person that likes to play the victim and that is so caught on blaming everybody else for their problems, especially when they're at a certain age. Let me tell you something. Your parents can be the worst parents, right? You can grow up in the most toxic home known to man, right? You have two choices. You can either let it break you, or you can make sure that it doesn't define you. If you let it break you, that means you're allowing the environment that you grew up in, you're allowing yourself to become a product of it. And now you're finding yourself stuck in it to where it's breaking you. And who wants to deal with that, right? Or if you don't let it define you, that means you can grow up in it. And when you get to a certain point, you can remove yourself from it and never look back. There's a parable where it says it's two boys that grew up in a home with a dad that was very abusive and he drank. One boy turned out to be just like his father. He was abusive and he drank all the time. And another one said, I don't want to drink. He became very, very successful. And a therapist asked both of them, why are you the way that you are today? And one said, they both said, because of my father. So one decided that he was going to become his father and one decided that he wasn't. But both of their reasonings is because of their dad. What is going to be your reasoning? That's the question of the day. What is your reasoning? Are you going to let your environment break you? Or are you going to decide that it's not going to define you? You decide. That's it. That's all. Talked about being guilty, like what you're feeling guilty about, grief, forgiving yourself within that guilt, holding yourself accountable. This is all a part of healing. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not even going to hold you. It's a lot. It's a lot. Y'all, being vulnerable is so uncomfortable. Being vulnerable is so uncomfortable just because I feel like as much as you want to cry about it, as much as you want to scream about it, as much as you want to say like, I want to throw in the towel or I'll wave the white flag, this shit is hard. Like, it's not easy. Healing is not an easy thing, but you know that it has to get done, especially when you have to heal from trauma and your past, and you have to obviously acknowledge that something happened. You have to accept that it happened. You have to forgive yourself and the other parties for what happened. Then you have to make peace with what happened, and then you have to move on from it, right? The forgiveness, though, I struggle so much with forgiving myself, but God is really working with me and working through me. I journal, I pray, I'm getting back into my word, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I've neglected God so much, and this is one of those moments where I'm being super vulnerable. I feel like I've neglected God so much that even in the midst of me neglecting him, I still feel him near me. And what I will say is, no matter how many times people have tried to ruffle my feathers during the season, and no matter how many times people have tried to, like, come for my character or lie on me or make a mockery of my current situation, God, I feel your presence, and thank you for the sunlight in this moment. God, I feel you. Thank you, Jesus. The moment that I ever felt like I was supposed to be angry, I felt a sense of peace rest assure me. I kid you not. And I've never felt that a day in my life. That's why I feel like that's how I know that I'm not meant to be angry about anything, and that God is making sure that I don't become bitter in this situation. And I want to encourage anybody that is going through a tough time to not become bitter in your situation, whatever it may be, right? I feel like 2024 was also the year of detachment and removing themselves, and the chains are being broken. And I love when chains are being broken because that means there's freedom. You feel what I'm saying? And I thank God for freedom. And don't think that I'm just saying this just to say it. Like, no, I too am doing the work. When I say God is dealing with me, God has opened my eyes about myself, about the people that I have surrounded myself with, about my own family, about my parents, about myself, about my friendships, about my mentality, my mental state. Let me tell you, the devil has been trying to attack my mental health like no other. He has been trying to attack my mental health like no other. And I wish I was just being dramatic, but no, baby. I have days where I can't get out of bed. I have days where I just feel like this is just too much. And at the age of 9, I tried to commit suicide 3 times in one night. And I've written about this before. But now I'm going to speak on it. And nothing worked. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. And it was because I was bullied. My mom and dad were fighting all the time. This was right before my dad actually left. And I just felt like nobody heard me. I felt like nobody understood me. I felt like nobody got me. I felt like nobody listened. Like, why isn't anybody listening? Why? Even now, Jesus, even now, I feel like nobody is listening. I have times where I often revisit that 9-year-old. That 9-year-old, I feel her. And I can't kill her off. I won't kill her off. Because she gives me strength. As crazy as it may be, she gives me strength. Even though she didn't feel strong, I feel like she gives me strength now because I know that God is real. That's when I knew God was real. Because when I say nothing worked, baby, nothing worked. Nothing worked. Everything that I thought of doing, nothing worked. And that's when I knew God was real. I just feel like at that time, nobody was listening. And I feel like now, nobody's listening. But baby, let me tell you something. God is always listening. God is always listening. And I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to feel like you're in this by yourself, because I promise you, you are not in this by yourself. You are not in this alone. I promise you're not in this alone. I promise God sees you. He hears you. And if you are still here, it is for a reason. And baby, whatever happened to you, whatever didn't happen to you, whatever you are still waiting on, God is still in the midst of it all. Don't you count him out, because he will never count you out. Don't you stop for 1 second and think that you are not worth being here, because baby, I need you. I don't even have to know you to know that I need you. You know what I'm saying? We all need each other. God, I thank you. Jesus. God, I thank you. He is going to turn your mess into a message. He is going to continuously test you so that you can have a testimony to help the next. God uses us as vessels. My God. God uses us as vessels to be able to do his work to help the next person. You just have to be willing and open. You have to be open, honest, and transparent enough to accept what part you have in this world. Baby, we all have a part. We all have a part. God, I thank you. I thank you for my part. I thank you, Lord God, for just being everything that I need you to be, Lord God. And I thank you. 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 Jesus, I thank you. I hope this episode blesses you today. I hope that when you walked in here, you came with one mindset and you left with another. I pray that you share this episode with your family and your friends. And I pray to God that you find peace and to let go of whatever bitterness you have in your heart. I pray that you find peace to heal and to forgive yourself. I pray that you find peace and knowing that God is with you no matter what. If God is for you, who can be against you? No one. No one. Whatever you're feeling guilty about, forgive yourself for it. Hold yourself accountable. Find peace in that. And all of this will come full circle for you. So whatever you started out with, it won't be like that in the end. It's not about where you start. It's about where you finish. I love you guys. Happy healing. This has been an amazing episode. And thank you for tuning in to Her Journey Within Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Simone Renee. And baby, healing looks damn good on you. Okay? Period. Okay? I love you guys.